Hello and a warm welcome to another edition of the Debate on Press TV. I'm your host, Behruz Najafi. International calls for cessation of hostilities have fallen on the deaf ears of the feuding sides. Forces of Azerbaijan and Armenia have fought the fifth day of their battle over disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. Some 100 people plus have reportedly lost their lives and hundreds more have been wounded. The so-called Minsk trio, Russia, France, and the U.S., have urged an end to hostilities and started negotiations. This while Turkey insists a ceasefire is possible only if Armenia gives up the disputed territory. The problem has lingered for 3 decades with flare-ups every now and then, claiming tens of thousands of lives. Would there be a settlement this time, or would it end up in a full-fledged war? Let's discuss the issue after watching the report.
Just at a time when the world is fighting a crippling pandemic, a bitter war has erupted in southern Caucasus between two former Soviet republics, Azerbaijan and Armenia, over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. The international community regards the region as part of Azerbaijan, but it is almost entirely inhabited and controlled by ethnic Armenians. No side has admitted to starting the conflict, which broke out on Sunday. The fighting is the worst since the 1990s, when Nagorno-Karabakh broke away from the Republic of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has reported nearly 20 civilian deaths, but has not confirmed any military casualties. Nagorno-Karabakh says over 100 of its servicemen have been killed, but has given no figures on civilian casualties. France and Russia agreed on the need for a ceasefire on Thursday. They then issued a joint statement together with the U.S. The three are co-chairs of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe's Minsk group. Turkey, which supports Azerbaijan, however, says the trio should not have any role in the conflict.
Given that the three Minsk countries, USA, Russia and France, have neglected this problem for nearly 30 years, first of all, it is unacceptable that they are involved in a search for a ceasefire in the face of these negative developments that came to surface in these days. But if something is wanted, the invaders should leave these lands in order to achieve a solution.
In an apparent reference to Turkey, French President Emmanuel Macron called for good senses of those who are making the war linger.
We demanded an unconditional ceasefire, calling on the good senses of those who sometimes push such side to go further than what's reasonable.
France and Russia accused Turkey of sending mercenaries from Syria to fight at the battlefront. Ankara and Baku have denied the allegation. Turkey's denial, however, cannot be taken on faith. That's because in recent years, the country has been lending a hand to certain parties in external conflicts like the ones in Syria and Libya. Nagorno-Karabakh broke away from Azerbaijan in the 1991 to 1994 war that killed some 30,000 people. The international community, however, doesn't recognize the region as an independent republic.
Now, with that report, let's start tonight's show. Joining me will be expert on Russia and the former Soviet Union, Marcus Papadopoulos, out of London, and Professor of Political Science and International Relations, Cüneyt Akalin, who's joining us out of Istanbul. Good to have both of you gentlemen on the show. Now, let's go to London. Marcus, previous escalations were contained in a matter of days, but this time some people believe it seems the two sides are bracing for a longer battle. Is that the case?
Allow me to make two observations. Firstly, the great Russian poet Alexander Pushkin once wrote, "I know how to use a dagger. I was born in the Caucasus." Pushkin's words then and now demonstrate the volatility of the Caucasus with its patchwork of different ethnicities and religions. Secondly, Turkey is attempting to weaken Russia's position in Syria by inciting a war between Azerbaijan and Armenia over Nagorno-Karabakh in the hope that such a war would spill over into Russia's North Caucasus, an area which constitutes the Achilles heel of the Russian Federation. Now, despite there being a very serious flare-up in violence between Azerbaijan and Armenia over the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh, the chances of a full-blown war between Baku and Yerevan are remote. Why? Because Russia is the dominant outside force in the South Caucasus, as Russia is the dominant force across the rest of the Soviet Union, or what Moscow calls the near abroad, with the exception, of course, of the Baltic states and Ukraine. If we take Armenia, the Russian military patrol Armenia's border with Turkey, which enables Yerevan to deploy most of its soldiery and weaponry to Nagorno-Karabakh and to its border with Azerbaijan. Armenia is a member of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, which is a Russian-led military organization. And of course, Armenia is also a member of the Eurasian Economic Union, which is a Moscow-led political and economic organization. If we turn to Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan, like Armenia, is firmly in Russia's orbit. Indeed, in recent years, Azerbaijan has drifted further and further towards Moscow, politically, economically, and militarily. And Russia is saying, in no uncertain terms to the Azerbaijanis in private, that in order for Russia to continue recognizing Nagorno-Karabakh as legally part of Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan has to keep on closening ties or instigating closer ties with Russia. Now, that is a remarkable hold that Russia has over Azerbaijan. Okay. So in light of that, there is no chance that Russia will allow both parties to become embroiled with each other in a major war.
Now, Junaid, let's have your reaction to Marcus's comments, and then I'll go ahead with the questions.
Yeah, well, as far as the conflict is concerned, it's not a new one. It's about a conflict of 30 years, unfortunately, unsolved. And now Azerbaijan and Turkey have the feeling that the international community and even the Minsk group do not contribute to the solution of the problem. On the other hand, especially Western community, Western forces, headed especially by United States and France, they do everything they're possible to help and to support the Armenian thesis against Azerbaijan and Turkey. Now, it's now your question is why now? Well, because I understand within Armenia there are a lot of political problems, especially with Pashinyan's power, getting into power, and now everyone is watching what's happening in Armenia. As far as the conflict is concerned, it's about a conflict of 5 days. Well, as far as we are concerned, we back Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is right to defend his territory and defend the motherland. And as far as your question is concerned, with the ceasefire, well, the ceasefire, I don't know, but an urgent ceasefire, it is obvious, will not help to the solution of the problems, because we faced the problems many times before. So to repeat unsolved ceasefire will not contribute to the solution.
Okay, Marcus, some observers fear that this might lead to an all-out war, and also Junaid says that ceasefire won't help solve this problem. So what do you predict could happen?
I believe that Nagorno-Karabakh will continue to remain a frozen conflict, and I believe that there is very little chance of there being a full-blown war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. It is certainly or is certainly not conducive to the interests of peace for Turkey to be meddling once again in the affairs of another country or the affairs in another region. The other guest just said that Turkey supports Azerbaijan because Azerbaijan is, in his words, right. Well, Turkey supports Azerbaijan because of cultural reasons. Turkey doesn't have any particular interest in regard to Azerbaijan's claim to Nagorno-Karabakh, other than most of the Azerbaijani population are a Turkic people. So in light of that, Turkey, once again, is creating instability in a region in order to, as I said, first and foremost, to put pressure on Russia in Syria, because Russia and Turkey are regional rivals. They are historic adversaries. Okay. And secondly, there's no doubt that Turkey is trying to increase its influence in the South Caucasus, but at the same time, we mustn't overstate Turkey's influence in Azerbaijan, because, as I said moments ago, Azerbaijan is firmly in Russia's orbit. Russia is not supporting Armenia over Azerbaijan, and nor is Russia supporting Azerbaijan over Armenia, even though Armenia is a Christian Orthodox country and Azerbaijan is a Muslim country. Right. Russia has very strong relations with both of them.
Now, Junaid, some reports have it that some 900 Syrian mercenaries have been transported to Azerbaijan by Turkish security companies. Of course, Ankara denies this. Why should Turkey do such a thing?
Yes, I was expecting this question. This question is the actual black propaganda against Turkey. Well, before answering this question, let me tell you a few words about other contributor. I don't know his name. I don't know. So
Marcus.
From speaking from London. Well, first of all, Russia did not ever accuse Turkey of sending mercenaries to Armenia or to Nagorno-Karabakh. This is not true at all. Yes, France and Macron accused Turkey of sending mercenaries with Pashinyan and Armenian authorities, but Russia did not have such an accusation. Secondly, we in Turkey we back Azerbaijan, and we think that he's totally right in defending her territories and her motherland, but we do not want to get involved to any other country's internal affairs. And also I reject the claim that Turkey wants to create instability for the region. Let me underline that Turkey and Russia contribute to the peacekeeping in Syria. They patrol over Idlib, and they go on with this. And Iran is also a partner. Iran is also a partner.
We're talking about the Astana peace process.
Problem. So, yeah, exactly. Astana process is important. As far as I am concerned, it is very important, and it is the only solution. I can say that this is the only solution for the region.
Okay. It looks like we lost that connection. Now, Marcus.
And
yes, go back.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
They are all of them against U.S. intervention, so they cooperate in different ways to have peace and stability in the region. So I'm for it, and it's important. Just one point important as far as Iran is concerned. There is also a black propaganda in Turkey saying that Iran is sending arms, etc., to Armenia cooperating with Armenia, etc. As far as I can see, Iran is also keeps quiet and very reacts very reasonably. And of course, we want, as Iran and all of us, we want peace and security within the region. The only problem is that Nagorno-Karabakh's problem should be solved according to international law.
We'll come to that, Junaid.
United States resolutions.
Okay, we'll come to that soon. Now, Marcus, some analysts are arguing that Washington, Moscow, and Paris, the Minsk Three, as you know, they were tasked with addressing this issue since long ago, but they have not taken the issue seriously, and they haven't been able to solve the issue. So what makes them push for a ceasefire this time?
Well, I can assure you that Russia takes the frozen conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh exceedingly seriously, because the Kremlin understands very acutely that a full-blown war between Armenia and Azerbaijan would destabilize the North Caucasus. And it has only been for some 12 years, perhaps, that there has been real stability in Russia's North Caucasus, and I'm specifically referring to Chechnya, but also to Ingushetia and Dagestan. And my word, a conflict in the South Caucasus could very, very easily spill over into Russia's North Caucasus, and that would open up a bleeding wound of Russia once again, and that could lead, theoretically, to Russia losing control over the North Caucasus. As I said, the North Caucasus remains Russia's Achilles heel, even though there is peace and stability there now. It is quite a fragile peace and stability. So Russia takes the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh very, very seriously. But the Russians also understand at the same time that Armenia will not renounce its claim to Nagorno-Karabakh, and Azerbaijan will also not renounce its claim to Nagorno-Karabakh. What the Russians are hoping is that by Russia bringing Armenia and Azerbaijan even deeper into Russia's orbit, that Russia can one day bring Baku and Yerevan together to a compromise over Nagorno-Karabakh. Now that will take some time and some skill by the Russians, but that is the objective. And I would say as well about the Turkish guest, perhaps he should explain why, in his opinion, Nagorno-Karabakh belongs to Azerbaijan. I suspect he would struggle with that, given his pitiful knowledge of the South Caucasus. And for him to allege that Turkey does not interfere in the affairs of other countries is preposterous nonsense. In Idlib, in northwestern Syria, there is a Turkish infestation there, which has been caused by hordes of Turks having invaded that part of Syria in support of Al-Qaeda. And then we have the illegal Turkish occupation of the north of Cyprus. And then we have Turkey routinely invading the north of Iraq. So how anyone can say that Turkey does not interfere and cause instability in the affairs of neighboring countries is quite honestly beyond me.
All right. Now, Junaid, I was going to ask you the same question, because some people are wondering what Turkey's role is in the middle of this conflict. Is it a stabilizing or destabilizing role, in your opinion?
Why to destabilize West Asia? And I mean, who is destabilizing West Asia? I mean, who interfered in Iraq? Who interfered in Syria? Who is responsible for the aggression towards Iran? I can hear you, and let me finish. Let me finish. I mean, I just forgot to answer your question, your vital question. Turkey does not send any mercenaries to these are big lies. This is black propaganda against Turkey. It has clients in Europe and United States of America, but we should be, as Iranians and other Asians, etc., we should be more careful on these subjects.
Okay, we're running out of time, gentlemen.
Junaid,
if you allow me, we have only
just
1 minute left.
Just a second.
Go ahead. Only 30 seconds.
Excuse me?
30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Azerbaijan does not need Turkish soldiers or Turkish mercenaries to be sent to Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is a big country, is a rich country, is a powerful country, and it has a well-armed, well-trained army, so he can manage alone.
Okay, Marcus, 30 seconds.
Turkey invaded the north of Syria in support of its proxies there, both Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Turkey on a regular basis invades the north of Iraq. Turkey illegally occupies the north of Cyprus. Has Nicosia invited the Turkish military into Cyprus? No. Has the Syrian government invited the Turkish military into Syria? No. Has the Iraqi government invited the Turkish military into Iraq? No. Therefore, the Turkish guest argument that Turkey does not interfere in the affairs of other countries is absolute nonsense.
Okay, unfortunately we're out of time. Let me thank our guests. We had expert in Russia and the former Soviet Union, Marcus Papadopoulos from London, and Professor of Political Science and International Relations, Junaid Akalin from Istanbul. And thank you for watching this debate.